Watch this.
Public money will soon be available for private school education after the long-awaited will he or won't he? Well, he did. Governor Little signing off on a tax credit despite the bill not satisfying any of his criteria. It's a win for some, but not all, according to those closest to Idaho's public schools, including in American Falls, a small district with few private school options. The superintendent explains why this will hurt more than it will help. And for those of you who might be thinking, wood chipping some Girl Scout cookies by the sleeve sounds pretty good right about now, well, we might be able to help you out, or at least reintroduce you to someone who used to satisfy those cravings by the box load. Well, school choice in Idaho just got choosier or choicier, whichever. This morning, Governor Brad Little changed the landscape of education in the Gem State by signing House Bill 93 into law. This has been a quest of certain lawmakers dating back to the 2019 session, but it really has picked up steam over the last 3. And having been whittled from vouchers to savings accounts and now to tax credits. With the passage of the parental choice tax credit, families can claim up to $5,000 per child per year. Education spending returned in a rebate, even private school tuition. Today, reaction to what many supporters were expecting and what critics consider the governor going back on his word from the very first day of the session. Here's Joe Paris.
That means it is fair, responsible, transparent, and accountable.
Governor Brad Little set the stage in his Keeping Promises State of the State address.
Yeah, I came here with this commitment in my heart to make sure that every child has the opportunity for an excellent education.
Representative Wendy Horman co-sponsored the bill, a bill that passed out of committee on February 5th after critical questioning. Questions continued on the House floor.
A well-designed program would include a robust oversight and clear reporting and proper funding for enforcement, of which none of this bill provides.
How is it school choice when private schools get to selectively choose their students?
The people showed up with their thoughts on February 13th. A Senate committee heard the full pitch from co-sponsor Senator Lori Den Hartog.
No one school, no one system is going to be the exact right fit for every single child. And so having options and opportunities that families can access really it's powerful.
President Trump chimed in on social media as the proposal went through technical transmittal, an endorsement for Governor Little and the proposed school choice measure, even catching the bill sponsor by surprise.
It's not every day you have a president of the United States endorse your bill.
This bill is not the boogeyman.
February 19th marked the final decision day for lawmakers.
This bill isn't about school choice. It is simply cutting a blank check for a certain few using taxpayer dollars.
It passed, a narrow vote of 20-15. The final hurdle cleared on the run to the governor's desk.
The only part of what I said that I really agreed with was the price of it. There's not enough accountability in it. But to that mind, I don't think there's enough accountability in the money we give public schools either.
February 27th, the end of the road. A press release announced that governor was signing it into law. Representative Horman finding out only a short time before.
I got a phone call. I was down in House Education Committee presenting a bill.
A successful campaign that took years to complete, one that Representative Horman says can make a difference.
Elation. This is something I've worked on for so many years. I'm so excited for the families and the children that this will benefit in the state of Idaho, especially those of modest means.
Still, there are questions, ones that Representative Steve Birch has asked since the first committee hearing.
Very disappointed.
Concerns hang for critics of 93, worries about expansion, a runaway program.
Any dollar that winds up going to a private school or a religious school, whether it's in the form of a voucher or whether it's elected to go into the general fund, is one less dollar for public education.
Horman believes the program won't negatively impact public schools, something she keeps close to her heart.
So I have 30 years of supporting public schools. That's not going to change. We are still going to make investments in public schools in Idaho. And again, this money takes no money away at all from public schools.
Others wonder if the governor kept his promise, his outline for a successful program.
That it needed to be fair, it needed to provide accountability, responsibility, and transparency. By any definition of those four words, this bill does none of that. It's really a promise broken to the citizens of Idaho.
There's a lot of work to do to make sure that families are aware of this program and getting the word out about that. And so in one way, the work is just really beginning.
So when does the program start? Well, the application period will be next January, so January 2026. And Brian, it'll be for that tax year. So It does go sign into law today. The governor signed it this morning. It's not for this year. It's not for the tax credit this year. Next year, though, we'll have to start tracking it.
And it gives priority to lower income families first. My question to you is, do you think the governor's hands were tied by what he said during the State of State and that social media post by Donald Trump?
I can just tell you that there is certainly pressure on the governor's office. We tried to get an interview with him, and we'll highlight a little bit more about that later. But I know that there was a lot of factors pushing towards making a decision. The decision he did make today, no transmittal letter.
All right, thanks, Joe. All right, well, critics of the parental choice tax credit bill weren't just contained to the State House. Since January, we have heard from teachers, superintendents, those who are concerned about its constitutionality. From Idaho's teachers union to the state superintendent. All of those who are closely linked to what public money for private education would mean to them and their schools. In fact, just last week, 73 administrators from 69 different school districts signed a letter to Governor Little, which was posted in the Idaho Ed News, asking him to veto House Bill 93. 69 school districts, from Idaho's largest, West Ada, to one of its smallest in Salmon. Today, Aspen Shumpert talked with one of those small school districts and has their reaction to today's decision.
Well, I think we're all pretty disappointed that it happened.
American Falls School District Superintendent Randy Jensen says it's sad to see public school funding not be a priority for the state.
In a state that historically funding for public education in Idaho is at the bottom in the country. And so when we really don't even adequately fund public education, where do we have extra money now to start funding private education?
Thursday, Governor Little signed House Bill 93, allowing public funds to go towards private school tuition in the form of a tax credit. But for rural school districts where there is either none or few private schools, this new law doesn't help them at all.
We have a small private school in our community that we probably will have some students elect to go to. And we have some in neighboring Pocatello that students may decide to go to. But for the most part in this rural, in our rural community, there aren't other options.
Jensen isn't alone in disappointment of Little's decision. Marsing School District Superintendent Norm Stewart calls the governor's decision a direct betrayal of rural Idaho taxpayers. Notice School District Superintendent Micah Duramus adds, it's a sad day for Idaho public education when the self-proclaimed education governor approves a bill that did not meet his own standards, doing it the Idaho way, meaning fair, responsible, transparent, and accountable.
We know he said he'd commit $50 million to this, but there were certainly some requirements he had on that, and we just felt like that it doesn't fit all those requirements that the governor had asked for that.
Jensen says in an attendance-based funding formula state, losing students to private school will cause a financial hit.
I'm sure it's going to hurt all districts. Some we're going to lose some attendance, which is going to cut our funding. But public schools, we need to do the best we possibly can, especially to meet the needs of all students, not just students that can qualify for my school or only the students that I want to come to my school.
Public school districts are worried this is just the beginning, and over time, this budgeted amount of taxpayer dollars going to private schools will grow. We've been told it's not the state's intent to let that happen, but we're told that it was going to be fair and accountable, whatever the governor signed when it came to school choice, and school districts aren't really feeling like that was accurate as well.
Right, and any legislature can expand it if they so choose.
That's
next year that could happen. You reached out to a lot of schools.
Yeah, about 18 of them that signed that letter.
One of them got back to you saying that they were kind of busy today. Why was that?
Yeah, that was Emmett School District. We were able to reach their superintendent, Craig Woods, who tells me it was a rough day for them, and staff were worried about what this meant for their jobs. A lot of questions and answers coming out of that school district and discussions about what this means.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, Aspen. Well, we know what you want to now know, because it's been something you've been asking us since last week when House Bill 93 passed the Senate and was then sent to the governor's office. We got a message from Andy. We got another message from Ken. What's the phone count score to Governor Little in House Bill 93? We got a message from, you can see PJ Smith and Nampa. Several of these questions are sent to us. Patty. And also we got one from, you can see RJ in Twin Falls. Basically, hoping you can report on the results of the governor phone survey. They all boil down to that one question. How many people called the governor to tell him what they thought of the bill, and what did they tell him? Well, many of you referred to it as a poll or a survey, as if the governor or his office was soliciting your phone calls and emails. They weren't. But you are more than welcome to call. You can do that anytime. And apparently thousands of you did. We wanted to know how many and what they were saying. So we sent the first request for that information on the 20th of February. We sent a second one this week. And when we asked about the possibility of getting those numbers today, since, well, the bill had been signed, we were told, quote, our office still has thousands of emails and voicemails to go through. We want to provide a complete picture of public input on the bill, and we'll need more time to compile those numbers. We'll be sure to get you those numbers as soon as they are available. By law, they do have 10 days to fulfill any public records request, so we are within that, so we'll still have some time. What we did get, though, just like every other media outlet out there, was this snappy 3-paragraph statement from the governor that virtually says nothing to explain why he would sign a bill that, well, met 0 out of 4 of his criteria. It did mention his pet launch program, how much the state has directed toward education since he's been governor, and how education will always be a priority. That's listed in here. Now, the usual way to handle this would be to just kind of put this up on the screen and just read pieces of it to you. But we're not going to do that because this doesn't answer any of our and likely your questions. And the governor has denied our request today to answer them. Yes, he did make himself available to the media this week, but per policy, he refused to commit to what he would do or would be doing with House Bill 93, nor would he answer why. The reason is what we've been told all session, every session, quote, Governor Little does not comment on pending legislation. Yet now that it is no longer pending and it is now signed into law, we and you are expected to be satisfied with a 3-paragraph nothing letter like it was handed down from on high. The problem is, with this, we don't get to do our job, which is to ask questions. And as part of the job, as an elected official, to answer questions, even those you may not like, or those you may not be able to answer sufficiently. That's okay. All that is avoided, though, with the issuing of statements. And this isn't the first time either. Governor Little did this last year with the library bill, the year before with the abortion trafficking bill. I don't believe Idaho or this country is a true democracy, is what he told us this week, where you just make decisions based on the number of people who show up. But Governor Little, many of your constituents would like it if you would show up and explain a few things. All right, let us have it. We know you have more to add to this parental choice tax credit conversation. Feel free. Share your questions, your comments, and your concerns. Text them to us, 208-321-5614. Include your name and the hashtag #the208. As always, we expect them to be clear, concise, and clever. But before we get to those at the end of the show, how about we go back a bit? How about a little bite of something sweet? Maybe one of those Thin Mints or Do-si-dos? Well, we got you covered with the return of a stellar seller from the Girl Scouts of Silver Sage Council. You know, it's rare these days, even this time of year, to have a Girl Scout knock on your door to sell you some cookies. In fact, they're available just at your fingertips. You can order them online. They have been since 2014. Despite that, the old school face-to-face sales do still happen. What else has been consistent? The fact that Girl Scouts of America still sell about 200 million boxes of cookies each year. And a lot of those are coming from our local chapter, the Girls of Silver Sage Council. And way back in 2016, there were a lot of that total coming from just one girl just across the border in Vail. In honor of being smack in the middle of sale season, we wanted to revisit that cookie selling savant in today's 208 Redial. Producers Livestock Market in Vail, Oregon. It's kind of the center of selling in Malheur County. In fact, about 45,000 cows moved across this floor just last year alone.
Send her down to the veterinarian, please.
John Coot has called the action of the auction for the past 16 years.
This market moves more cattle than any other auction market facility in the state of Oregon.
So that makes it a popular place to peddle cattle. And today, cookies.
Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies?
Haley Kamenicki is a founding member of Vail's Girl Scout Troop 339. Started just last month by her mom, Nikki, it has just 9 members. Haley's the oldest.
Haley is the oldest. She's 12.
50.
She's here to take advantage of the spending spree going on in the other room.
Peanut butter sandwiches? Yeah, 3 of those.
Haley is a 3-year veteran of selling Savannah Smiles and Samoas. Her first year, she sold more than 2,000 boxes. Last year, even more.
Last year, 2,722.
That was more cookies than anyone in the entire Silver Sage Council, an area that stretches from eastern Idaho to eastern Oregon. Not bad for a girl whose hometown has less than 2,000 people living in it.
Vail is such a home community. Like, they support everything that goes on in this community between the people and the businesses here.
$4 a box or 5 for 20.
This year, her sales goal would make even raisins cheer.
3,500.
3,500 boxes is a lofty limit, but it's one she set herself. Her mom is just here to help.
I want her to learn that her limitations are in her head and that she knows that she can go out and she can do whatever she wants.
Haley says it also helps to be homeschooled.
Yeah, I got time. I got a lot of time.
But that also means while waiting for customers, she has some math to do. Then it's back to dishing do-si-dos.
You got any coconut?
Right here.
And while taking the sales title again this year would be important, Haley says she would be just fine with just a top-tier finish.
And this year I'm gonna get a bike. My bike's broken. I ran it over with the pickup truck.
She has 2 bent rims and no brakes on her bike.
So for the next week or so, Haley and her mom will keep selling. Not necessarily by the pound, but by filling their bank bag $4 a box.
Yeah, I hope so.
Brian Holmes, Idaho's News Channel 7. Remember when they used to cost $4 a box? That was awesome. All right, sadly, Haley did not reach her goal of 3,500 boxes sold that year, but she was still the top seller in her area for the 3rd year in a row. That was also Haley's last year to sell cookies, unfortunately, because she got into high school the following year and things, well, she just got into other things. And unfortunately, the Vail chapter no longer exists since the rest of the girls that were underneath her, who were younger than her, they also did the same thing. They all kind of grew up, got into high school, and got into other things. But that didn't stop Haley, now 21, from going on to bigger and better things. And she still has some pretty lofty goals.
Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies?
One of my friends Googled me. And that is one of the only things that pops up when you Google me is that story from 2016.
So you're at the University of Montana right now?
I am, yes.
Why'd you choose there?
So they were one of the places that sent me mail. And I saw the picture of the campus and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And I want to be here while I'm going to school.
What are you studying?
I am studying physics with a focus in astronomy.
No kidding. Wow.
Yes.
What do you want to do with that?
I want to get my PhD eventually and go into research.
Wow. Okay. Anything in particular?
As of right now, something along the lines of galactic interactions or moving even further away from that, stellar formation and births and things like that.
And this year I'm gonna get a bike. My bike's broken. I ran it over with the pickup truck.
She has 2 bent rims and no brakes on her bike.
Did you ever get your bike?
I did get it and I used it for years and I loved it so much.
Did you? That's awesome.
I did, yeah.
What kind of bike was it?
It was a mountain bike and it was purple and it was too big for me when I got it. And so I had the seat as low as I could get it and the handlebars as close to me as I could get it. And then it just kind of grew with me. And eventually I moved to a place where I couldn't ride my bike around town. So I haven't seen it in years, but I think about it a lot often, actually.
What else do you do for fun in Montana?
For fun, well, being a physics student, I don't get out a whole lot.
$11 later, 19 bucks. 19 bucks.
Like, I hang out with my friends. I have a lot more friends than I did when I was 12, for sure.
Well, thank you very much again, Haley. I'm glad you're doing so well and having a great time up in Montana. And man, you've got some obviously lofty goals, so that's amazing.
Yeah, they're difficult, but I'm getting there for sure.
Yeah, and this is not the first time. I mean, from lofty goals with cookies and now basically the stars.
Stars the limit.
Yep. Well, back in 2016, we did call her a stellar seller. I guess now we can change that to interstellar seller.
Well, with sunny skies in play today and through the end of the month tomorrow, it does look likely that we have endured our 6th wettest February on record here in Boise. Just over 3 inches of total precipitation in a month where normally we see about an inch of total precipitation. And hey, 11 inches of snow also fell this month. 18 days saw precipitation of our 28 from a trace to several inches of snow. But none of that coming our way over the next couple of days. And hey, we'll kick off March with beautiful weather as well. Look at this Thursday afternoon. We're pushing 60 in Boise, 52 with clear skies in Twin Falls, mid-40s in McCall. McCall sitting at 46 right now. That is courtesy of our strong ridge of high pressure, which will hold steady for a couple more days. That's a system off to the west that we're watching for the end of the weekend. It will likely bring some very light valley rain our way late Sunday through likely Tuesday, and some light snow back to the mountains as well. Tomorrow morning with clear skies in play, another cold one down below freezing early, but hey, dress like an onion. You might want those layers early, but you'll be peeling them off in the afternoon. A high of 57 to wrap up the work week. A touch warmer on Saturday. Cooler, though, as a system makes its approach on Sunday and Monday.
All right, we got a lot of comments today. Thank you very much for sending those in. Some questions as well. Let's see if we get to as many as we can. This one from Trish, who says, the next step is up to us. If your representative supported this school voucher bill and you did not, remember that in the next election. The people have the ultimate power, but only if we use it. Hardworking Idahoan here. I've been paying taxes to fund public education from the first paycheck I ever received. I send my kids to a private school, so I think this tax credit is great because, well, I'm basically paying 2 tuitions. And that's your right, but you're also constitutionally obligated to pay for public school education in the state of Idaho. Thank you, Governor Little, for not listening to the people of Idaho and signing House Bill 93. You continue to have a perfect record of not listening to the people who elected you, said Bud. What can be done now to reverse House Bill 93 if a majority of the people did not want this? Well, we don't know that yet, but obviously a good number did. There could be an initiative, maybe a lawsuit. We'll see what happens. Let me be the first to offer up my new educational opportunity for Idaho youth, Brad's Rastafarianism and School of Rock. Our motto will be, no kid will fail as long as they inhale. I guess it's possible. We'll see you tomorrow.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.